Feyshaper Oakheart Sentinel is really cool. It's a nice sort of... Instead of having an animal companion, you turn your enemies into animal companions. I'll show you, it's really cool. So we're going to go level by level, combat tutorial, all the fun stuff, and the gear you might see is obviously not the most OP gear. The reason being is that I think a lot of the really good spellcasting gear is saved for a damage dealing spellcaster. There's not much offensive capabilities with this class, it's mainly about summons and like transforming your enemies. So bear that in mind, this will work very well with another wizard, so you could have your Gale in there to pump out 1 billion damage and still use this one as well. So let's go over the guide and we start with the Feyshaper. Now the Feyshaper gets Oak's Aim, so this is developed by Lore Seekers, allow you to basically improve your bow attacks. We're not using a bow though, so we don't need to worry about this. What we have got is Oak Branch. Now, you know how this works, it's just like Shillelagh, it will just infuse your weapon. We also get Minor Illusion, which is a really nice little utility-based cantrip that is just really good for distractions. We also gain Knock and, need I say more, basically unlock every chest in the game. As well as Curse of the Rat. Now we also get Curse of the Cat, and essentially for 5 turns, we can turn the enemy into a cat or a rat, and just nullify them on the battlefield, especially early game. Now when it comes to cantrips, I would personally take Thorn Whip, so you can pull creatures 3 meters closer to you. I would take Guidance, because this is a great ability to have for like cutscenes and ability checks. And Produce Flame, it's just another really nice little utility-based cantrip. And then we've got spells. The first one we're going to take is Healing Word, so we can do some healing capabilities, as well as Fairy Fire. All targets in the light turn visible, and attack rolls against them have advantage. Really nice way of buffing your attacks without really doing too much, or if a target turns invisible, making them invisible again. When it comes to ability points, we're going to have 10 Strength, 14 Dexterity to help with our Armor class and Initiative, 14 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, 18 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever you feel like you'll need for your playthrough. Oakheart Sentinels level 2 brings Oakheart casting expertise. So all Sentinel classes are used to summon allies and spirit companions. To keep them safe in battlefield, they learn to carefully shape their offensive spells. You also gain one more spell at this point, so for this one, we're going to take Thunderwave because it's incredible. Push enemies off of beams, balconies, ledges, all that fun stuff. Oakheart Sentinels level 3, we get Blackbird shape, so we can actually transform into a Dire Raven, and this is really useful for sort of out of combat sort of stuff. We also gain Curse of the Badger and Curse of the Boar, meaning we can turn enemies into a badger or boar, and they'll actually fight for us against their companions. Now we gain one more spell, so for this one we are going to take Hold Person, nice little utility spell. Any creature, as long as they're a humanoid, that becomes held by this, can't move, act or react, and attacks from within 3 meters are always criticals. Oakheart Sentinels level 4 gives us our first feat. Now before that we get one more spell, and we're going to continue with this sort of like battlefield controller type build, and we're going to go with Heat Metal, for the reason that we can heat up enemies' weapons and get them to drop them potentially. If they don't drop them, they'll take 2 to 16 fire damage. So we are going to have a lot of concentration based spells with this build. Now when it comes to your feat, we're going to take our Wisdom up to 20 and max it out. Oakheart Sentinels level 5 brings Companion's Bond, so our proficiency bonus is added to our armor class and damage rolls for our companions. We get Double Curse, so your mastery of Cursing Trickery allows you to target another being with your enchantments, so we can now target 2 enemies. And then we get Curse of the Panther and of the Wolf. Now as you can see, these aren't concentration based, they come later on, but they are wisdom saves. But if you can land this, you get a panther or a wolf on the battlefield to help you. Now we get one more spell at this point, and for this one we are going to take Create or Destroy Water. Reason being is it's a nice utility spell. It's also really good for if you have a character with lightning abilities, making an enemy wet, hitting them with a lightning arrow, a lightning spell, and maximising your damage. Oakheart Sentinels level 6 brings us another spell, so for this one we are going to come down here and take Spike Growth. Really nice way of having movement speed halved for enemies, and anyone that walks through it will take 2 to 8 piercing damage. Oakheart Sentinels level 7 brings Exceptional Training, so our animal companions can dash, disengage and help as bonus actions, as well as Curse of the Wrath and Curse of the Arachnid, so we'll get a Wrath or an Arachnid if we can turn an enemy. Now we gain more spells at this point, so the first one we're going to take is Conjure Woodland Being. This will allow us to summon a Dryad to fight with us, that can entangle enemies. The Dryad, however, can also summon a Woodwode as a companion, meaning for one spell, we can gain 2 allies. So this is a must-have for any sort of Oakheart Sentinel or Druid build, in my opinion. Oakheart Sentinels level 8 will give you a new feat. Now, for this spell here, we're going to take Conjure Minor Elemental, and we're going to stack up our elementals and our summons. And when it comes to your feat, we're going to bump our Constitution up to 16. Oakheart Sentinels level 9 bring Curse of the Bear, so we can curse an enemy, turn them into a bear, and we can do the same with an owlbear. Now we gain one more spell at this point. The first one we're going to take is Insect Plague, because I think it just ties into the theme of this really well. Oakheart Sentinels level 10 gives Bestial Fury. Your bond with companions has deepened, unlocking their inner strength and giving them an extra attack. We also gain another spell, so for this one we are going to take Conjure Elemental, again stacking up our summons before battle. And then Oakheart Sentinels level 11, Curse of the Moon. As you can see, this one is concentration. You bestow Ancient Curse of Lycanthropy on your target and force them to fight on your side. This is essentially werewolves. And just Chaos. So cause your enemies to attack each other or stand still buffed. Buffled. Level 6 spell, so bear that in mind. Now we also have more level 6 spells for this one. We're going to take Hero's Feast, so we can use this before combat or as soon as we leave camp to just buff up our allies. Oakheart Sentinels level 12 gives us our final feat and one more spell to choose from, and for this one I would just come down the lower levels and take Ice Knife, so we've got a low spell slot damage dealer. And then for your feat, I would either take the Ability Score Improvement for Constitution, or I would take Warcaster to give us advantage on maintaining saving throws to maintain concentration, as well as Shock and Grasp as a reaction if we need it. Okay, so when it comes to our equipment, like I said, we've saved a lot of our equipment for our main spellcaster. So there's no Marker Share, there is no sort of Rope of the Weave, nothing like that. What we are using is the Browbeat and Circlet, plus 1 bonus to spell save DC while threatened. We use the Cloak of Displacement, so this will activate at the beginning of our turn, giving disadvantage on attack rolls to us, to the enemies attacking us. Now this is a nice way to just protect your concentration-based spells and your health pool. I'm going to take the Boots of Genial Striding, so we're unimpeded by difficult terrain. The Shelter of Akfala, I probably butchered how you say that, but gives us advantage on saving throws against spells, really important, and Mirror Image, again a nice way to buff up our potential to maintain concentration. For gloves, we're going to use the Quick Spell Gloves, so cantrips that cost an action, cost a bonus action instead, once per short rest. We use the Snowburst Ring because we have got some ice spells, so if we deal cold damage, we'll also create a 4.5 meter circle of ice around the target. The Shifting Corpus Ring to give us invisibility and blur, again a nice way to protect our concentration. The Necklace of Elemental Augmentation, so when we do acid, cold, fire, lightning or thunder damage with a cantrip, we can add our spellcasting modifier. And then for our equipment, we're using the Staff of Spell Power. Plus 1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, but we do get a use of Arcane Battery, and this is what we're going to use to cast Hero's Feast. It'll be a free 6th level spell slot. And then we're going to pair this very nicely with a shield. You can kind of take any shield you want just to boost your armor class. I just like the Shield of the Undervote because disadvantage on saving throws to resist your spells. Really helpful when it comes to trying to cast your Lycanthropy one. We gain a level 1 spell slot and Shield Bash. So that is the build, let's go check it out. Okay, so we've just left combat, so we have a few things we need to do. First things first, we need to get our Minor Elemental. So for this one, we'll just grab the Ice Memphis, and we'll do it at 4th level. And there we go. Now we also need to get our Woodland Being. So again, cast this at 4th level. Apparently we have 2 Ice Mints. Fair enough. And with the Dryad, we can summon our Fallen Lover. Just like that. And then if we go back to our lovely Oakheart Sentinel, we can also get our actual Elemental. As loads of colours are happening on screen. So let's get our proper Elemental now, which is over here. 5th level once again, and let's do a Fire Elemental for this one. And there you go, so you see we have a Fire Elemental, we've got Ice ones, and we've got some sort of like earthy, like blunt force ones. Now with all that being said, the last thing we need to do is turn on our Arcane Battery. When I can find it. Arcane Battery, so this will give us our free spell slot. And we're going to do Hero's Feast, and you can see this will target everyone. And there you go. Everyone has been buffed. We also have the chest in the middle, but that's not that important. Okay, we're in combat and you can see our summons are mostly near the end of the turn order, sadly. But you can see the Ice Imps do pretty decent damage for a summon. Got a nice little 13 there. Now it's time for the Fire Elemental, and the Fire Elemental can do some pretty decent damage. First things first though, we're going to Elemental Warp, and we're going to close down the Archer here. And it's basically Misty Step, but not. And what's really cool is that the Elemental can actually do a multi-attack. So, now the damage output isn't amazing, but it's an extra meat shield, and any damage is better than no damage. Now the Ice Imps can also do some pretty cool damage. They've got a bunch of like Death Bursts, which mean they can just explode and die, but deal loads of damage. They've got Chromatic Orb, and they've got Ice Breath. Now, Ice Breath you can actually place in some pretty good areas. So if we were to do this, you'll see you can knock enemies prone, which is really fun. And then we can also fly if need be, so we'll come up here and help take out the enemy here.
Well, so much for peace.
And that works with both of them. So if this time we'll do a Chromatic Orb, and we'll throw the Chromatic Orb here. And there you go. Now sadly we did knock our Woodwode prone, but it's not a big deal.
Survival is all that matters.
Now the Dryad can entangle enemies. So first things first, strengthen their shillelagh, just like that. And then, hopefully, as long as they don't slip, there you go. Now unfortunately they did make their save for their entanglement, but you get the idea.
Still breathing.
And then that brings us. Now, we are going to attempt to start doing some fun things. So let's try and turn some enemies into a bear. We'll do the Spellcaster. And can we target you? No, let's target the Barbarian. And there you go. Now they will fight for us until, I think it's 5 turns runs out. What this also means is that we could do Oaken Branch just to buff up our staff if need be. It will actually attack the people you've summoned, if you need them to. And as you can see, the bear will start hunting down the enemies. And it's just a nice way of distracting enemies. Now that they've been goaded, obviously they're just focusing on doing the bear, meaning we have been freed up to start piling up even more damage. Just like that, you see they took a massive sneak attack. That's 30 damage that we didn't take. And then it's simply a case with the summons of just attacking them like this. You'll see the Fire Elemental can cause burning, which is really cool. The bear will hunt down enemies. Unfortunately, it slipped on the ice, which isn't ideal. And then the Ice Nymph can obviously just do some regular attacks, if it doesn't miss.
Blood comes easy these days.
Let's try and do a regular attack with this enemy, so you can see the damage output. There you go. It's about 12.
Another fight.
Now let's try and entangle the enemy again. Sorry, ensnare the enemy, and as you can see, it worked that time. That also means we have a bonus action available, that we could jump, we could do a good berry, all sorts of fun stuff.
Can't even catch my breath.
And then there's the Woodwode. Now the Woodwode is just a bit of a brute. As you can see, it hits pretty hard.
Still on my...
Now, we want to maintain our abilities on the battlefield. So what are we going to do next? We are going to do a Heat Metal. We're going to do it at 2nd level. And we're going to try and get the enemy here to drop his weapon. Or we'll just explode him. Never mind. Now as a bonus action we can do a Healing Word. So if we did it at 3rd level, we'll heal up our summoned Woodwode, just to try and top him all the way back up. And you see the bear will start now focusing on the other allies around, and it's just such an easy way of just nullifying the battlefield. 5 turns to have a bear or an owlbear is crazy. You see they sadly took 0 fire damage from that, and the enemy is just really focusing on dealing damage to the bear down here. Now with the Fire Elemental, we are actually going to warp over here. So we're going to come into here, and we'll start focusing on the enemy here. So we'll do another multi-attack. And there you go. Now we are ensnared, so we are going to try and do a Death Burst. Now unfortunately we're just out of range, which is really annoying. So in that case, we'll just do another Ice Breath, and we'll hit the enemy here, who's saved. Which is fine, because we'll come up here and we'll do a Death Burst with this enemy instead. or sorry, this ally instead, to try and show off how this works. So, there you go. So you see you will explode, deal damage in a massive radius. Unfortunately they did save because they're rogue, but you get the idea of what you can do. Now the Woodwode can also entangle enemies, so let's see if we can land it here. And there you go. Unfortunately we didn't, but we did end up burning the whole area because of the vines.
Time to push my luck again.
Now, once again, we still got other things we can do here. So let's do a... what do we fancy doing? Let's do... Curse of... no, let's do... yeah, Curse of the Moon. So, we will target this enemy. Can we see you? We can't. That's a little annoying. So we've targeted you. Can we see you? No, we can't. Can we just target one then? Let's just try and target you. And there you go. Now we have a werewolf as well. So you've got the werewolf and the bears. And you're going to see the stuff we can now do.
What should I do?
So you see the bear will goad the enemy. And is going to focus on dealing damage. Now the werewolf has decided to jump on the roof for some reason, not what I expected, so let's just start getting some burning going on this enemy. You can see we did 10 damage and they've got a round of burning. And our bear is going to really focus now on trying to deal damage to the archers here, and you see they get 2 attacks per round.
Stand in my way.
And then that brings us to our ice myth, and once again we can throw a chromatic orb. There you go, dealing 9 damage. Now at this point, while your summons are doing their thing, you can do a very simple mirror image to boost your AC. This will also protect your concentration from having your werewolf up here. See 2 burning damage there from the enemy. And it's simply time to start hunting the enemies down, while we've got so many summons and transformed enemies on the battlefield. And you see they'll just keep goading to make sure that they take the focus of the damage, meaning we can continuously just throw down some chromatic orbs and stuff. Just like that, and this time we landed a big critical. And there you go, you see the bear shape has now run out. The enemies walked right into our cluster of summons, so we can deal some damage that way. Now this should mean that the bear here will also now run out, but we'll still have our werewolf at the top. Once again, we'll just come down here and we'll do an erupting cinder this time. Now unfortunately they made their save as well. And there's the bear shape running out on that enemy.
Catch my breath.
So from here, we would fly down here. And we're going to show off the exploding one again. So we'll do a nice little death burst. And there you go. Unfortunately they did both save, but they both took damage too. This brings you to your Dryad. Now once again, the Dryad's really good for entangling enemies, so we'll run up here. Oh, we'll just outright murder him with 22 damage.
What now? Sometimes the only way
And then it's time for our lovely sorcerer here, and let's do our Just Chaos. So we're going to target them, we'll target them, and that looks like all we can target at the moment. So this works best when you've got a bunch of enemies together, or at the start of combat. But there you go, we have some mind mastery now.
Need to stay focused.
And this is obviously going to be protected, because we've still got our high AC. And as you can see, they're now just going to continuously shoot each other. And then it is very simply just a case of finishing the fight, with all your summons and turning your enemies into other creatures or against each other. So that's what we're going to do. We're now just going to start ending the fight. So send the Dryad up again to deal some damage, and a big 26 this time.
still breathe.
Let the Woodwode do some stuff against the Barbarian, again, big damage.
Survival is all that matters.
And of course, we also have stuff we can do. So we've got our Empowered Shillelagh, so we can pump out some big damage like that. Okay, you see the enemy's no longer a werewolf. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to show off the werewolf abilities. They just sort of jumped on a rooftop and did nothing. But like I said, just time to finish the fight of all our summons. And of course, this works really well when you've got a bunch of companions that can deal some damage. And that is the gist of the build. It's a really cool subclass for the Oakheart Sentinels. I don't think it's the best one, personally. I think it's probably one of the lower ones. Kind of just relies on you having concentration and transforming enemies. But if that's your thing, it is pretty cool. I can't deny that bit. I just feel like maybe like the Law Seeker is a little bit better, or the Spring Keeper. But again, if this is your kind of flavour, I think you will enjoy this mod so much. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, let me know in the comments below and let me know what you changed, new items, spells, all that fun stuff. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. I've got more guides for Baldur's Gate, for Path of Exile, Dragon Age, all your RPG needs. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.